Hi, I'm Meryl Key, and this is what is happening in why astrology for August 2024. We're in retrograde territory, where the tide pulls you out of the left brain and inward to make adjustments, get new perspective, a different conclusion. And you need to look back at the past to navigate a way through the contradictions and expectations of present-day reality. The irony is palpable. Commit to the unknown or be stifled by the past. Throw in a drama in Gemini between Mars and Jupiter mid-month, Saturn stomping its feet, Mercury retrograde, a double T-square full moon, and the best laid plans can go feral. When is it time to step out of the circus? We'll start with an overview of the planets, and then get into the juicy part of the August astrology and break it down. At the end, I'll do a quick wrap-up so you've got all the dot points. If you want horoscopes for your individual sign, watch my Astrology Dice forecast for all signs, put out at the start of each month. And thank you for the channel support. Here's an overview of the moon phases and planetary movements for August 2024. Feeling wistful, lost at sea, motivation indifferent, goalpost dissolved? There's a reason for that, with some big planet energy in retrograde motion, or stuck in the doorway between retreat to the past and a break for freedom into the great unknown. Neptune, Pluto and Saturn are retrograde, and just after the Leo new moon, from the 5th to the 29th of the month, so is Mercury. This brings a pause for reflection, reassessment, a revisit, and sometimes a discovery, a hiccup, or a delay that changes your plans. The past is being questioned, prodded, and raked over. For some, the consequences catch up. For others, there could be an aha moment that solves a puzzle. But at its core, these retrogrades send you into a psychological inner battle, and the realization that the only one that can fix this is you. Will you read the signs? The new moon on the 4th is in Leo, and it should bring a glimmer of light. In the southern hemisphere, that's taken literally as the first rays of the sun warming up after a cold, cold winter. This is Imbolc, the ritual celebration at the end of winter, the feast of the waxing light, when the wattle flower blooms in a blaze of gold. In the northern hemisphere, it's Lughnasadh, the first harvest. The long hot days of summer are rolling to a peak with festivals, gatherings and celebration. Leo new moons beautifully sum up that feeling of poking your head up into the light and joining with others for a bit of madness. It signals a time of self-expression and creativity, a moment to embrace your individuality and shine with confidence in a way that's both social and entertaining, swinging you into the spotlight with the greatest of ease. It can make you bold and passionate, but in the current climate, that can also bring missteps and overreach. Did you fly too close to the sun? The plan here is to build your courage and shake off the self-doubt before phase 2 of the month, when the planetary atmosphere insists you get a grip on what's got out of control. From the second week of August, you get a chance to pull the reins in as something that's teetering out of balance grinds into breaking awareness. Saturn, the planet of restriction, is retrograde in Pisces. Jupiter, the planet of growth, is in Gemini with a million ideas and crafty solutions. But from around the 7th of August and active all month, these planets of expansion and contraction are at cross purposes, forcing a rethink on your next move. This can involve any area of your life that got too extreme, or where the boundaries got distorted, or where your solutions and expectations became unrealistic. Jupiter square Saturn wants you to match your hopes and dreams with an honest appraisal of your reality. They are asking for you to put the work in and commit to your goals. This transit is the first of 3 hits, but the seed of the current need for revision goes back to December 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn began this cycle at 0 degrees Aquarius, incidentally, where Pluto is right now. And that's a sign that you don't have a lot of wiggle room, but to move forward, regenerate and grow. So we have a resonance. Something from the past is niggling at your future. And to be honest, it doesn't fit into the new vision in its present form. This month, Jupiter square Saturn exposes the issue so that it breaks through into your awareness. This is Jupiter. This is Saturn. And this could feel like clipped wings, a block in the way, a realization, a reality check. You might have to put in a battle or stick to a budget, face a reality, live with restriction. Don't ignore the signs. With the second Jupiter square Saturn hit at the end of December, the restructure you're aiming for will get tested. So it's best that you bite the bullet now and put the effort in. Be in it for the long haul, because there's no quick results with this. The final hit between these 2 planets is in June 2025. And if you've shown endurance and commitment, your hard work will pay off. But we have to remember that there's a resonance going back to December 2020. This current transit is like a rear vision mirror, looking back to the pandemic and waking up from a dream. For most of us, dealing with the reality of the new normal has left a vacuum of hope. Did we go backwards or forwards? Jupiter helps to inspire and create new opportunities. But in this transit, it has to be measured by rules and limitations. It wants to break free. Saturn has a really judgy conservative outlook compared to Jupiter's big ideas. It's a wet blanket on the party and simultaneously offers a protective hand to guide your enthusiasm. Jupiter and Saturn can give you the resilience to dig yourself out of a hole and trudge forward into the future, knowing it is just ahead of you. Of course, this all comes to a head in the lead up to the full moon on the 20th. Mars is storming the field, charging in to join with loudmouth Jupiter and challenge Saturn's authority. The double whammy of Mars and Jupiter in Gemini activates a brash and bold tactic. It can act with a grudge, dramatically overshare. It can be arrogant and disproportionate, going to extremes to break out of constriction. It can be an ego trip. On the heels of that massive red flag, the full moon on the 20th, at 27 degrees Aquarius, coincides with Jupiter square Saturn reaching its peak level of antagonism and frustration. And the moon phase really amplifies the beef between restriction and freedom. Uranus, the planetary ruler of Aquarius, is at 27 degrees Taurus, and this puts it in a really tough aspect between the sun and the moon, and can deliver a blindside or disruption with an electric shock. This T-square with the sun and moon could suddenly throw a lot of attention on you or make you stand out from a group. But your instinct is kind of on and off at the same time. There's a recklessness, a lack of preparation, or just flying by the seat of your pants that could be exhilarating or just way too much. Retrograde Mercury has joined up with the Sun, and Vesta is beside them, all in Leo, making this a passionate expression that could get lost in translation because Mercury's retrograde, or it could bring up a tussle between the head and the heart. On one hand, striving for independence, and on the other, chained to a sticky repeat pattern. There's an element of discovery, and even in any disruption that Uranus brings, you get a glimpse of who you really are. And that's important when the whole planet vibe is to restructure for the future you. And there's a second T-square with this full moon. Venus is at 17 degrees Virgo, opposite Saturn, and square Jupiter and Mars. What you want and what you need might feel really hard to balance. This aspect can put pressure on promises, good intentions, and goodwill, and where it doesn't measure up to the task at hand. Relationships, partnerships, and financial arrangements are all put under scrutiny. And with Aquarius, your friendships, community, and social connections are also pinpointed. Where you feel you belong, where you feel understood, how you function in a group. Internally, this is about self-worth, because what you think you deserve determines how far you stray into someone else's agenda. If you've been manipulated, now is the time you say that's enough. The theme of the month is restructure, and there's no quick results for fast reward with this one. You might feel that you're treading water, taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or being held up or blocked. But the cosmic plan is to have you develop resilience, learn through your experience, and toughen up a bit so the long-term goal hits the mark. From that second week, the Jupiter and Saturn square comes into play, making you a bit bingy and squeezing excess into a more reliable form. This is when you want to get a grip on what's been out of control. Once Mars joins in mid-month, it's hard to stop a runaway train, and this can mean you're shooting your mouth off or poking your nose into someone else's business. It's a challenging aspect. It reacts without thinking and amplifies the unconscious desires, especially where you feel constricted. Humility, patience, and consideration are in short supply, but they're exactly the qualities that will give you the result you want. The full moon on the 20th brings that inner conflict to a head, and you'll be looking at a dilemma between your individual needs versus that of the group or the collective. The question to ask, what do I really need to commit to? Where do you feel valued and accepted? What gives you a sense of belonging and support? You have a choice to put your personal needs aside or stand out and put yourself first. Either way, there's an opportunity to break free of old patterns and liberate yourself into wholeness and authenticity. I'm Meryl Key, and this is my mystery school. Check out the other videos on my channel, or find me on Instagram at my_mystery school, or on my website www.merylkey.com. See you next time.